Tamron are relentless at the moment. And I mean relentless in a good way, right? I don't mean relentless like your kids in the back of the car going, are we there yet? 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 As the horror and realization dawns over you that you haven't even made it halfway yet. Speaking of kids, I do want to take a second to apologize to my regular subscribers because I know I have been very quiet on the video uploads these past couple of weeks. And there is good reason for that. I did put a post out on my community page a while back explaining the situation, but for anyone who didn't see that, basically life's just got in the way. We've had a lot of things going on all at once. Started off at the tail end of May. We've had a Ukrainian family that's come to live with us. So obviously they've needed time to settle in and adjust. Well, we all have really. I've then had a stint of weddings the past couple of weeks that have obviously needed a lot of time editing up the pictures, etc. And then the summer holidays hit. So the schools have been shut. The kids have been off school. So yeah, basically the amount of time that I've had available to get any sort of work done has been heavily restricted, and it was a lot of other work outside of making these videos. Thankfully, the good news is the family are all settled in, the weddings are now finished, and the school holidays end in about 2 weeks' time. So normal service will start to resume gradually, although I am going to take a bit of time to reorganize in here because, yeah, I went through all the trouble. If you've followed this channel, a couple of months ago, I redecorated entirely and come up with an idea of how everything was going to work. And then I decided to move this chair 4 foot further forward from the wall, and it's basically caused all sorts of chaos, and now the room doesn't function properly. Anyway, on the topic of relentlessly going on and on and on and on, Tamron. They've been relentless in their lenses, and they've always been peculiar, weird, unique lenses, shall we say. They don't stick to the the mainstream formulas of lenses. They go off book with it, and it's actually making them very popular. You think back when the 28-75 landed, everyone's first reaction was, why 28? Why not 24? Everyone usually does 24-70. Why aren't you doing that? And yet, as it happened, this was so much smaller and lighter and cheaper than a 24-70, whilst offering still very good image quality, that it became one of, if not the biggest selling mirrorless lenses to date. They followed that up with the 17-28. People said, why 17-28? Why not 16-35? By the time they rolled round to the 17-180, which is my latest lens purchase, by the way, pretty much we've come to expect these peculiar focal lengths from Tamron. Now people just don't bother batting an eyelid to it. But it follows the same principle. The 35-150 f2 to f2.8, I've not seen a reaction to a lens like that in as long as I can remember. The guy I bought the 70-180 off was selling that because he'd bought the 35-150. So basically didn't need that extra 30mm of focal length on the long end. And I know other photographers who, they shoot weddings, they're only taking that one lens now. They pretty much don't take anything else apart from maybe spare kit, but they're primarily just shooting entire weddings with that one lens because it covers everything from the main focal lengths of wedding photographers with a very fast aperture and excellent image quality as well. I have even seen people who don't shoot on Sony. I have seen that Tamron lens, because it's only available for Sony, unfortunately. They've ended up buying a Sony camera just to be able to buy and use that Tamron lens. That's insane. I can't think of many lenses I've ever seen that have persuaded people to buy into an entirely new system, especially not a third-party lens. Crazy. And it's not stopping still. We've had in the last couple of weeks 2 development announcements for upcoming lenses. The first one... You're a bit warm. The first one is maybe not as groundbreaking in my opinion. It's a 50-400mm f5 to 6.3, 5.6 to 6.3. Basically, not that fast. Now, on paper, you think, well, 100 to 400s are pretty popular. This one's going to go down to 50mm. Well, hey, that's great. In my opinion, I don't think that's actually going to be that groundbreaking. Sigma tried this a couple of years ago. They had the 150 to 600mm, and they then produced a 60 to 600mm. So basically, less than half the focal length on the wide end. But it was a bigger and heavier lens, and it didn't make that much of a difference, I don't think, because when you're down at the wide end at like 50 and 60mm, on a lens like that, you are capped at f5, f5.6. Not particularly fast. And I think many people would prefer to just switch over to a nifty 50 prime lens and get a heat load more light in. But I'm sure it will still strike a chord with some people. Their latest development announcement, however, takes it back into the weird and wonderful. And I think it's going to pair very nicely with the 35 to 150 because it is a 20 to 40mm f2.8. So where you've got the holy trinity, if you like, of 17 up to 180mm across three lenses all at f2.8, this is going to be like a holy duo that covers from 20 to 150mm at f2.8 in only two lenses. Now, one thing I did notice though, first on the 35 to 150 and then again on the 20 to 40, when Tamron have been producing lenses, they follow a pretty given preset, if you like. The look, the feel, the finish to them is always pretty similar, the basic overall design. They even try and keep the filter threads even. But on all of their lenses, the zoom ring at the front and the focus ring towards the back, on every zoom lens that they've produced, apart from two now, the 35 to 150 and now the 20 to 40. And it's not even like the switch is just they've decided to do that with all of their lenses, because the 50 to 400 is still zoom ring at the front, focus ring at the back. It's only on that pair of lenses that they've gone with focus ring at the front and zoom ring towards the back. And I don't know why. I mean, maybe it's because I know there's split opinions as to who prefers what. I have seen many people, especially with longer focal length lenses, state that they're not happy about the zoom ring being towards the front. They prefer it being towards the back so that they can keep the hands tucked together for a more stable platform when holding the camera. Maybe Tamron have decided to produce this duo of lenses that cover a versatile range but do the zoom ring and focus ring the other way around, so that people who don't like the zoom ring at the front can buy the other pair and have the zoom ring towards the back. Or maybe there's a construction element to it that means the optical formulas are forced that way. I can't think what, but you never know. It all begs the question, what the hell are they going to do next? I mean, they've covered a holy trinity, they've covered a holy duo. Are they going to do a holy uno next? Are they going to do like a 16 to 200mm f2.8 in one lens? I frankly wouldn't put it past them at the moment. I think I would like to see them go with something up the more telephoto end. I mean, I know they're bringing out this 50 to 400, but it's still a relatively slow aperture. And I know Tamron pretty much have gone with trying to keep everything as low budget as possible, but I would like to see them expand into the faster telephoto lenses that are still comparatively cheap for a fast telephoto lens. Like, for example, I used to own the Sigma's 120 to 300mm f2.8. I loved that lens to pieces, but it was just so big and heavy. And I have expressed in the past, one, my disappointment in hindsight of selling the lens, and two, my bigger disappointment that they've not produced a similar lens for mirrorless. That could be an opportunity somewhere around there for Tamron. Maybe not a 120 to 300 2.8, but maybe a 100 to 300 f4. That would be significantly lighter, but would still be, 300mm f4 was a very popular prime lens on Canon DSLRs, so I could envisage that something like that by Tamron could be still pretty light and cheap in comparison to similar lenses and be a very popular choice. However, I suspect that we might actually see them go to the wider end of the focal range, because I think, from memory, their full frame lenses, the widest that they have covering at the moment is 17mm. That's 17 to 28. I don't think they've got a full frame lens that goes wider than that. I think they've got an APS-C lens that goes down to 11mm, but nothing on full frame. So I wonder, are they going to come up with something like a 10 or 11mm, 18, maybe a 10 to 20 or an 11 to 20mm f2.8 that would then pair up with this new 20 to 40 and the 35 to 150 and give a holy trinity of 10 to 150mm. That would be pretty impressive. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there, if you enjoyed this video and you haven't already done so, then please consider hitting the like and subscribe button, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video.